Rachel Reeves, Labour's shadow chancellor, is facing a storm of criticism. She claimed £3,700 in energy expenses for her second home. This has sparked outrage, particularly as the government cuts winter fuel payments for pensioners. Critics accuse Reeves of hypocrisy. They argue that she is out of touch with the struggles of ordinary people. Reeves defends her actions. She says that MPs need homes in both their constituencies and London. These expenses, she argues, are necessary for her work. However, this explanation rings hollow for many. People are struggling to pay their bills. Seeing a politician claim thousands for energy expenses adds insult to injury. This controversy highlights a growing problem. Politicians seem distant from the people they represent. The cost of living crisis is hitting hard. Many question if politicians understand their daily struggles. The image of Reeves claiming large sums while pensioners shiver is hard to ignore. It fuels the perception of a political class detached from reality. This issue goes beyond party lines. It's about fairness and perception. Can politicians ask for sacrifices while enjoying privileges others can't afford? This question resonates deeply in a country facing economic hardship. The government's decision to cut winter fuel payments has added fuel to the fire. These payments are a lifeline for many pensioners. They help them heat their homes during the cold winter months. Cutting these payments feels like a direct attack on the vulnerable. The government argues that these cuts are necessary. They say it's about balancing the books and making tough choices. However, critics argue that this is a false economy. They point out that cutting support for the elderly will have knock-on effects. It could lead to more health problems and increased pressure on the NHS. The public outcry has been loud and clear. Pensioners' groups, charities and ordinary citizens have voiced their anger. They argue that the government should be protecting the most vulnerable, not balancing the books on their backs. The optics of this decision are terrible. It feeds into a narrative of a government that is out of touch and uncaring. This issue has ignited a debate about priorities. Is it right to cut support for pensioners while politicians claim large expenses? This question is at the heart of the public anger. It speaks to a sense of injustice and a belief that the system is rigged against the ordinary person. The disparity between politicians' expenses and the reality for many households is stark. Data from the Independent Parliamentary Standards Authority, IPSA, shows that MPs claimed a total of £1.3 million in energy expenses in a single year. This averages out at over £2,000 per MP. Meanwhile, the average UK household spends around £1,300 per year on energy bills. This figure is likely to be even higher for pensioners who often live in older, less energy-efficient homes. These figures tell a story of two Britons. On the one hand, there are those who can claim thousands in expenses without a second thought. On the other hand, there are those who struggle to heat their homes and put food on the table. This gap between the haves and have-nots is fueling resentment and anger. The numbers don't lie. They expose a system that seems skewed in favour of those in power. While politicians enjoy generous expenses, ordinary people are left to bear the brunt of the cost of living crisis. This is a recipe for discontent and distrust. Public trust in political institutions has been on a steady decline. Many people feel disconnected from those in power, leading to a growing divide between politicians and the public. This divide has resulted in increased polarization, making it harder for different groups to find common ground. It's clear that rebuilding trust is essential for a healthy democracy. Accountability is a cornerstone of any functioning democracy. Without it, leaders can act without consequence, eroding the public's faith in the system. Looking forward, it's crucial that political leaders are held to higher standards of transparency and responsibility. By doing so, we can pave the way for a more trustworthy and effective political landscape. There is a growing call for change in British politics. Citizens are demanding more honesty, integrity and accountability from their leaders. This movement is not just about replacing one set of politicians with another, it's about fundamentally transforming how politics is conducted. Of British politics depends on our collective ability to respond to this call for change.